All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Professional Time Wasters Podcast Edition. I'm your host, FireWire, as always. And today I'm joined by no one. Cool Shirt couldn't make it tonight, so it's just going to be me. Sorry in advance. No, so let's hop right into it. I have been playing a lot of one of my favorite games of all time this past week, and that's Destiny 1. Now, why Destiny 1, not Destiny 2? We'll get into it. But I've been really enjoying myself, and it's made me want to talk about it. But not just Destiny 1, but Bungie as a whole. And Bungie has had a very, I'd say, interesting history as not only a company, but I'd say a game studio. They've made arguably some of the most important, if not greatest, video games of all time. And it still feels like they're living off of that legacy. Like every time I talk to my friends or just random people and I bring up Halo or I bring up Destiny or Bungie in general, they're always like, oh man, that was like one of my favorite things. I remember playing those games all night, all weekend, like getting home from school. I know I definitely was one of those people that like the moment I got home from school, it was finish whatever homework I had left and then straight into Halo or straight into Destiny. And that was like my high school years, my college, and like Destiny 2 was kind of towards the tail end of college for me. But yeah. So they were recently bought by Sony, and Sony bought them because they wanted to get access to the live service, I guess, empire that Bungie built. It's funny to call it that because it is just one game. The live service game that they made was really Destiny 2. And it's not in a good spot. Not even close. That's why a lot of people have been playing Destiny 1, myself included. Because they'll sit here and say that, oh, Destiny 2 lost its way. It's not a Bungie game anymore. It's not Destiny. It feels like a cash grab. It feels like I'm going through the motions. I'm going to be honest with you. It's felt like that for a very long time. And I wish I could sit here and say I want Destiny 2 to be better, but I really think it's time to move on from Destiny 2. I do. So why this? Why, if I want to move on from Destiny 2, why Destiny 1? Bungie had this sort of magic that they were able to put into their games. And it's a very big credit to some of their older developers who are no longer there at the company, sadly. And those developers were able to craft worlds and stories and gameplay all into one definitive package. And that's what made Bungie, not just Destiny, not just Halo, so great. And Destiny 2 had that. Notice how I haven't mentioned Marathon yet. We'll get to Marathon probably more towards the end of this episode. And if you're one of those people that's a real big fan of Marathon, I'm sorry. Don't really have many good words to say. So if you want to leave your dislike now, like I know that y'all have been doing, or attack me in the comment section, go right ahead. But ever since Bungie really started making games with the original Marathon back in the 90s, or I believe it was the 90s, I don't really know. There was a certain magic, a certain charm to their games. And I'm going to be honest, 3 people probably remember playing those games. So let's skip forward a little bit. They partnered with Microsoft to put a brand new IP into development onto the new Xbox. Not the new Xbox, but at the time was the original. And you had Halo 1 come into existence. And go and look at the development of that. Go look at the cut content. Go look at what it used to be before they turned it into what it was. And you have arguably my personal favorite Halo game of all time from a story perspective. It plays a lot like an action movie, like an old school action movie. And man, I just love it. I can play the game endlessly. I think I've played Combat Evolved like 15, 16 times that I can remember ever since I played it originally when I was a kid. And every single time I play it, it has that perfect like beginning, middle, and end kind of like where it's all rise basically in the story. I'm not going to spoil anything if you've never played it, but you should definitely go and play the original Combat Evolved. Not this new one that Halo Studios, which is 343, is making. That looks like an abomination. That's a topic for a different day. But the original Combat Evolved was amazing. And it only went up from there, in my opinion, with Halo 2. Halo 2 is my least favorite. It's not because it's a bad game, but it's purely because something's got to be my least favorite out of the original trilogy, and it's that. So I skipped Halo 2. I'm going to be very honest with you. One of the reasons why I'm not as attached to Halo 2 as like Combat Evolved 3 or Reach when it comes to Halo is because I skipped it. The order I played Halo in was Combat Evolved 3, then 2, and then I played Reach. Which Reach is where I spent the bulk of my time. But Halo 2 was very, very important, not just for Halo, but for gaming in general. That's where you saw the beginning of Xbox Live, arguably the greatest multiplayer like video game platform of all time. Not much anymore. Everybody kind of just sits in like their own little exclusive parties or boots up Discord and, does it that way nowadays. But for me, I wish I could have said that I was into it. I didn't play it at the time. But the campaign's great. It's a little disjointed. I'm not a fan of the Arbiter levels, but they definitely have their charm. And I understand why some people like them. They're just not for me. It felt less like the action movie and much, much more like a video game story in a sense, because you had, of course, twists and turns. Not as much like just go, go, go kind of movement. Not movement, but like momentum. That's what I'm looking for. That Combat Evolved had. And it just comes out to being one of my least favorites. The remake that 343 made for Xbox, and they ported it to Steam eventually, the Master Chief Collection, I'm not a fan of the remake. I think it looks weird. It looks too glossy in a sense. And that's all I'll say about that. If you want an in-depth about the story, there's more than enough people that have made videos on YouTube for it. You should definitely go check those out. I can't give you any personal recommendations. You can find somebody. It's not hard. And then there's Halo 3. Halo 3 is arguably a lot of people's favorite Halo game. They say it goes downhill from there. I disagree. I love Halo 3. I love the story. I love the multiplayer. I love Forge. Like, all of it is just so great. And I'm not that big a fan of like certain things about it. I'd have to really, really nitpick though. I'm going to be honest. The game holds up really great. I mean, it holds up, and the engine held up so great that they made a spin-off, which is Halo 3 ODST, which is the most overrated Halo game of all time. Once again, in a good way, I love ODST. I really do. It's probably my like third favorite Halo game, but man, I see so many people screaming for an ODST 2, a like sequel to the game. I hate to tell you this, guys, but 343 made that sequel. It's a book. It's not good. It shits on the lore, so you should probably ignore it. Then there was Reach. Reach, to me, if you've listened to previous episodes of this podcast, or even like the previous run that's no longer on YouTube but is on Rumble if you go look for it, I believe that Halo Reach is the greatest and most complete video game ever produced. It's not the best. Don't get me wrong, but it is the most complete. It worked at launch, had an amazing progression system, had a really, really good campaign, had amazing multiplayer. Halo 3 fans didn't like it. I loved it. There's a debate for that. Tell me which one you prefer in the comments once again. But when it comes to like the game in general, I feel like it came out way like a couple years too early because streaming and social media hadn't really taken off yet. Game came out in 2010. I still remember going to Walmart to pick it up. Like it was a gift from a friend. So I had to go pick it up, and I picked it up at Walmart back when like Walmart actually still had the really cool displays for their games, and like they actually had consoles you could play on. And it was like taller than me. I was a kid, but like a great game. So good. I bought it 3 times. 1, because the original. 2, because I broke my copy because I used it so much. And the 3rd time was I got rid of my old copy. I had to buy it again. So yeah, there's a lot to be said about Reach. And once again, if you want the story for all of this, there's places for that. You're in the wrong place if you're looking for story breakdowns. But for anyone that's still listening, what does this have to do with Bungie? Bungie had so many just hit after hit after hit when it comes to games. And when Bungie decided to cut ties with Microsoft, cut ties with the Halo IP, they moved on to Destiny. And Destiny, for as much as I love it, I would argue is one of the worst things that has ever happened to gaming. And I'll elaborate on it. I love Destiny. I do. I'm actively replaying Destiny 1. Like, that's where a lot of my time gaming has been sunk in this past week. But unlike the Halo games, Destiny 1 and just the Destiny franchise is different. It's a live service game, quote unquote. I'd say Destiny 1 was more of a... I wouldn't say it was a live service game. I'd just say it was a game that was supported very well because you didn't have as many frequent updates. The DLCs were still bigger than what they are like now and things of that nature. And Bungie carried a lot of what they learned from Halo, specifically Reach, into Destiny 1. And that fluidity, the movement, everything is great. Destiny, was amazing. But it had issues. Didn't work at launch, and a lot of people were let down by the game. I missed year 1 of Destiny. I stopped playing games around 2014 because a lot of things were going on in my life, and the new Xbox that had just been released was not really my cup of tea. Microsoft was advertising the Xbox as a home entertainment system, not a gaming console. And I skipped it, at least for a little bit. I did pick it back, I did pick one up in 2016, and that's when I got into Destiny. That's what I'm playing Destiny on, right? Is that a 2016 Xbox One that I purchased, and she's still going strong. She still does great. I need to open her and clean her. That's what I need to do. I've never opened it, and it was used when I bought it, so God knows what kind of horrors and abominations are in there. I need to get in there and probably do thermal paste changing and all of that. Either way, the gaming industry was changing at that time as well. Call of Duty was really the only shooter that was still really, really relevant, because Halo 4 had come out in 2012. That's the disillusion that really pushed me away. And you have the shift to different monetization models. Not really free to play. We were still a couple years out from free to play with Fortnite and all of that. But streaming was becoming popular. Social media was taking over the world. All of that was happening. And I just kind of tuned it out. I'm gonna be honest. And when I decided like, hey, I don't think this game is looking that great, because I did play the beta for it, like Destiny 1. It's like, this game looks great, feels great, like I'm really excited, but it's not enough to make me buy an Xbox. And I switched over to Nintendo for a little bit. Like I purely played on I bought a Wii U over an Xbox, and I don't not regret my decision. It allowed me to pick up a lot of games that are worth like hundreds of dollars now that I know I definitely would want to play now. But Destiny didn't work at launch, like I was saying. It didn't have a lot of content, but what it did have was a promise that things were going to get better. And people latched onto that. People were defending Bungie because at the time, this was still the same core of people that made Halo. Not all of them, a lot of them left, but a majority of them made Halo games. And eventually Destiny 1 was able to pick itself up by its bootstraps and make it a really good game out of it. I mean, there's a lot of content there. I definitely agree. And it is, you know how I said that Halo Reach was the best, like, complete video game of all time? I'd argue that Destiny 1 is the most complete looter shooter of all time, because Destiny 1 manages to combine PvP, PvE, an MMO-like raiding experience that no other FPS game really has. And the closest thing, and especially on console, the closest thing that we've ever gotten to that would maybe be The Division, but that is, like, Division 2 is a completely different game. It's third person, and it works very differently. And you also have Ubisoft, which, Ubisoft. So, sorry, I had to take a drink of water there for a moment. You really need to play Destiny 1. I hate to say that it's like one of those you need to have been there kind of games, but it was a special time. Now, granted, you can pick the game up right now. It's super cheap. Go dust off your Xbox, go dust off your PlayStation, and you can play it. I'd recommend you have friends. I don't know exactly how well or like it would be to find people to play the game with. I mean, stop being an antisocial little shit if you're one of those people, and just get on LFG. Crucible's still fun. I played 5 or 6 games yesterday. I'm recording this Friday like at 1 a.m, but I played like 7 or 8 Crucible games with a friend, and it was some of the most fun I've had in a PvP game in so long. Granted, this was to me one of the last few games before you really saw the advanced movement trend, where, like with Titanfall, because Titanfall would come out around 2016 when Destiny 2 was already being like shown off. It's when we got Rise of Iron, the last DLC in Destiny 1. There we go. And I don't know, advanced movement's never been my thing. I'm very much a fan of the Halo movement system. I really am. Reach is probably like pushing it for me. I know I'm old, I guess, right? But to me, it's so unique, so old school. It's a lot like a modern example I can give is Space Marine 2. Maybe not the PvP, but when you play Space Marine 2, if you've played it, it feels like you're playing a game from like the mid 2010s, you know, like a Gears of War game minus the cover. And those are just my jam. That's what I grew up with. That's what I enjoy, you know. And I'm a Bungie fan at the end of the day, or at least I was. Fan, of course, is short for fanatic. I wouldn't say that I'm that anymore. And man, it makes me so sad to see the discourse around this company. It makes me sad to see what the company has become. And it has it has so many red flags, so many warnings, like that you could have seen this coming from a mile away, but we didn't. And so that Destiny 1 reaches the end of its life cycle. Destiny 2 comes out. And I pick up Destiny 2 like night of release. I'm ready. I had my dad drive me to GameStop at midnight to pick the game up, pick it up, install it, come back, and I am utterly disappointed with the game. Story aside, I'm just going to tell you what happens because, well, I'll get to that. I'll get to why I'm going to tell you the story of Destiny 2. You have the Red War era where the whole premise was the last city was attacked. You lost your light. Now you got to fight back, but you're mortal. You're a regular dude now. And they took one right out of Halo 5's playbook and kind of rug pulled a little bit. You get your light back like almost instantly. I understand why from a gameplay perspective you can't have a game where you lock the core function away and then like right at the end you give it back and then expect people. I get it from a gameplay perspective. And oh man, it would be so cool. Like we'd have no light and all this. It's cool for 1 or 2 missions. I'll give you that. But like from a gameplay and from a flow perspective, like it should have been a little longer, but I don't think it should have been a majority of the game. I've got a little notepad here, so I'm just looking at this. Destiny 2 wasn't good at launch. They removed a lot of the things that made Destiny 1 great, and some of those things were never added. Static roles for Destiny 2 at launch. The looter shooter element was gone. You get a gun once, you're done, you don't need to worry about it. And with the, like, same thing with armor, subclasses were dumbed down hard. I don't think anyone really remembers, but originally there were just perk notes. Like, this is kind of when Bungie started to dumb everything down for its player base. I don't know if it was a mixture or like fully Bungie thinking that their player base was stupid, or if it was a mixture between like them not wanting to do work or, you know, God knows what, the community crying that they couldn't get their god role IS Luna. Either way, they dumbed the game down. They had like 4 little nodes you could pick per subclass. It was dog shit. I'm going to be very honest with you. It was not good. It was boring. I played it, but eventually I moved on. I went back to playing other games with friends instead of that. Hell, I went back to Destiny 1 for a moment. I'm pretty sure back then as well. But Destiny 1 wasn't in the best state either. And it's still not because of the like special ammo changes, which we'll get to that. So Destiny 2 comes out and it feels like the majority of the time you're doing nothing but fixing the game from like a development perspective. They spent so long. The Warmind and Curse of Osiris came out. You've got 2 tokens and a blue. You've got the fact that they just start giving out exotics like candy. Like it wasn't a good design. It wasn't. And Forsaken comes out and they get back to their looter shooter roots. And I'd argue that from Forsaken all the way to not Beyond Light. Oh my God, what is it? Lightfall. Lightfall? Yeah, Lightfall. It was like peak Destiny. Yeah, there were lulls, there were dips when there was nothing to do. A lot of the seasonal content and especially the what's it called? Like seasonal events like the Dawning and the Festival of the Lost, also known as Festival of the Cost, because of the microtransaction store that kept creeping in. Just it wasn't it. But the game was still fun. There was still loot to chase. They added backstrike specific loot, not to the same level as Destiny 1. But when the final shape finally came out, it was a jumping off point for a lot of people. Myself, not really included. I wanted to ride the game out until the end. I ended up not doing that because the game is just fundamentally not the same game now. And it's sad. It really is to see where Destiny 2... I didn't even install Destiny 2 to get gameplay for this. If you're watching, this is just Destiny 1 gameplay, because that's what I've been playing. But there comes a point in time where you need to realize that Bungie isn't the same Bungie anymore. And I feel like Destiny 2, for me, the moment I realized that Bungie wasn't the same, even though I enjoyed expansions afterwards, was Lightfall for me. Because that's when you really started seeing a lot of modern trends in Bungie's like design. Well, what do you mean modern trends? Well, the DEI. I'm going to just basically come out and say it. DEI. Cool Shirt would probably go a lot harder than I will on this subject, but what I will say is this. There is a noticeable shift in quality around this time. And there was also a major uptick in diversity. You stop seeing a lot of, certain kinds of characters and you shift over to a more woke. I hate using the word woke because nowadays people take that word and just use it for everything they don't like. They see a female character. Oh, it could have been a man. It's woke. It's woke. Should have been a man. Or, a female character gets into an argument with a male character. Oh, it's woke. Character skin color. It's woke. Like everything. I hate this, but you can't deny this. And that kind of design philosophy, that kind of politics really starts creeping in around that time. For me, is when I noticed it. There's a mural on the one of the buildings in Neo Muna that is very, very similar to a BLM mural. There is a non-binary character, Nimbus. No one likes him. Is it because he's non-binary? Partially, probably. He's just an annoying character at the end of the day. And it only kept going on and on. Osiris and Saint 14 had their, they fleshed it out. They'd say it's a retcon, but they fleshed out their characters and made them gay. Because two guys in media can't just be friends anymore. Let's just be real. For a lot of these developers. And that's when I really noticed it. I know that for some came later. For a lot it didn't. You also have the rise of social media. And look, no one will tell you this. No one will say this because it's against their interest. And I'm going to probably catch a lot of flack for this if I were to ever really make a whole video on this. But influencers, streamers, YouTubers are partially to blame for why Destiny is so boring. And they'll sit here and they'll say, what do you mean? We need to make money. It's all about making money at the end of the day. A lot of them, not all of them, refuse to criticize Bungie when it isn't convenient. A lot of them refused to criticize Bungie or even criticize their community when it came to things that Bungie was doing. And look, it's not their job to police Bungie. It's not their job to police their community. But when you have the loudest voice in the room, when you have people who give you time every single day to listen to what you have to say, you have some level of power. Don't sit here and say that you don't. Do you have the same level of power to go and get Bungie to drop everything and put exactly what you want in the game? No. I'm not sitting here claiming that's the case. But you have the power to decide what you post. You have the power to decide what you say and how much criticism you're giving to Bungie and to your community. I know that the Destiny community is arguably one of the worst that I've ever seen when it comes to people complaining about weapons, that they're too strong, complaining that exotics are too hard to get, complaining that weapons and armor that are locked behind aspirational content, crucible, raids, certain missions, that it's too hard. Or they don't have friends. Or my personal favorite, I don't remember where I saw this. I'm a single dad of 5 and I work 3 jobs and I come home and I only have 10 minutes to play Destiny. And I don't want to get destroyed or I feel like I'm not making any progress. Buddy, let me tell you something right now. You're not a real fucking gamer. You were never a real Destiny fan if you complained anywhere like that. And you want to know how I know you're not? Because it takes longer than 10 minutes just to load the fucking game. Am I right? But those kinds of people did irreparable damage to the game. And it's not anything that we could do, because here's the thing. From Destiny 1 to Destiny 2, Bungie focused on marketing and monetization. There's, of course, the absolutely two famous clips. There's two. Number one, for me, which I still quote every single day, is making content is hard. It's just hard making content in general. Comes from a Bungie developer when people were complaining that there was nothing, like there wasn't enough content or content was half-baked, things like that. And then you had the Bungie, Pete Parsons, CEO guy, I don't remember. He doesn't deserve enough of my respect to learn his position or even his name. That's how little respect for most of these people I personally have, who got up on stage and basically said that you don't want to over-deliver to your players. Because if you over-deliver, did he even say players? He probably said customers. I'm going to be honest. These people that have put Bungie in the situation that they're in now, they're not gamers. They're not, they don't care about you. The only thing they care about is getting you to pull your money, your wallet out and give them money. That's all they care about. That's why Sony bought them. That's why Destiny 2 gets so many expansions. It's why the cash shop was getting more and more support than the actual game. I remember in Destiny 1 as opposed to Destiny 2, when every expansion you got a vendor refresh. Every expansion wasn't just a vendor refresh, it was an Iron Banner refresh. You got new strikes, you got new Crucible maps. The expansions were cheaper, much cheaper. There weren't seasons, the gaps in between were a lot bigger, but it didn't matter because the game was fun. There was loot to chase, and we were so much more naive. Nowadays, all it was is content creators run out. Either they go and they literally just no-life the game. It's their job, of course, say what you want, but in my day, you call them no-lifers. And to get the best loot, to get all the raid loot, to get all the raid this, the raid that, and then immediately, here's the meta list. Here is how to complete all of these encounters in this raid. Here's the full strike. Here's the full dungeon. All of that. The mystery is gone. And then they'd be the first ones to go and complain, there's no mystery. There's nothing to do. This game is so boring. All the while showing off the new weapons and sitting and breaking down, this is the god roll. This is the best shotgun. This is the best fusion. This is the best sniper. If it doesn't have these perks, they're garbage. Don't need to try anything else. This is the stuff. Take it into Crucible. Post your video day 1. 1 to 2 weeks later, Crucible's awful. It's nothing but meta this, meta that. Nerf hand cannons, nerf pulse rifles. Scout rifles are too strong. Why am I getting killed by an auto? That's all you heard. And it starts at the top and trickled downwards. Yeah, maybe not all the content creators were complaining, but what can you expect when people, a large majority of them, that don't want to do work, don't want to put in effort? And there's a shit ton of them. I'm not saying that you are, if you're still listening, but I'm definitely saying that there could be someone, they don't want to work. I have a friend who every time I would play Destiny with him, it always felt like, and Destiny 2 as well, it always felt like a race against the clock because he chased meta. And if that's what you're into, that's fine. But if a gun didn't have the exact role that he wanted, it was garbage. If the new gun didn't outclass the old one, it wasn't worth getting. It needed to be the next big thing. That's how you get power creep, ladies and gentlemen, is that kind of mentality. Instead of sitting down, I remember when games were fun because they were games. Not because you had to go curb stomp somebody. Not because you had to make your time efficient. Not because you needed a spreadsheet to go and fucking put all of your goddamn micro DPSs fucking shoot, dodge, grenade, shoot, dodge, grenade. all this crap. When you needed to micromanage less, it became less of a chore, less of a job even. That's what it felt like at the end of the day, a job. But at least it was fun, right? Destiny 2 nowadays has the portal, a quote-unquote streamlined process to make it easier for people. Once again, because Bungie thinks you're too dumb. Is that an insult? Yeah, you should take it as one. They think you're stupid. They're never going to come out and say it. They'll deny it tooth and nail. They'll fight every single day saying that they don't, but they think you're stupid. Prices have gone up. Content's been less and less every year. They ran out of ideas. They added Star Wars, another sci-fi franchise that I'm going to be honest with you, isn't that great. At least not anymore. So why'd they do it? Because they don't care about Destiny fans. They care about the modern audience. That's why there's DEI bullshit. That's why there's Star Wars. They want to bring in other people, because if they can bring in other people, those are other people who might spend money. Fortnite added Star Wars. Look at how much money they made. They want their own little slice of that. Destiny used to be so fun. It used to be full of mystery. It used to be just a fun, stupid game. Darkside Royal, a really good Destiny YouTuber, he pisses a lot of people off, says that Destiny PvP is the junk food of PvP. And I do kind of agree with him. I do. And it's a real shame, because that's what went first in Destiny 2. When was the last time we got a new map? I don't even remember off the top of my head. And even when there is a new map, all you're going to hear is the map shit. We want Javelin 4 24/7. Even Destiny 1, their maps were majority great, but Destiny 2 wasn't. Where's Forge? You know? In the era of social media, in the era of sharing, the file share system, something you created, Bungie. Where is it? It's nowhere to be found, because the people that made Halo, the people that made OG Destiny are gone. We're gone. Or even worse, couldn't be fucking bothered. I mean, it shows. Look at it. They lost all of their old vaulted content. There is no vaulted content anymore. The content vault, where they took all of the content away from you, where they stole your money, it's gone. They couldn't get it back even if they tried. They don't care. You already gave them your money. Why should they care? Why should they? The magic is gone, people. It makes me sad saying that. And nothing proves that the magic is gone more than Marathon. Marathon is an extraction shooter in the Marathon universe, for those who don't know. To me, Marathon is a lazy, boring, contrived game in the worst streamer bait garbage genre ever. But funny enough, streamers don't care. They weren't paid enough to play it, I guess. Or the money ran out. One of the two. I joke about them being paid to play it, and there were probably some that were, but there were a lot that weren't. Marathon never had a chance in hell. I'm sorry, Marathon fans, that's true. Marathon should have been canned from day one. It never should have come out. Marathon is modern gaming at its finest. Does nothing new, looks like dog shit, and is just chasing trends, but somehow finds a way to come out 5 years too late. Hell, Arc Raiders is a much better extraction shooter to a lot of people. I have friends that love Arc Raiders. You want to know how much they love it? They already stopped playing it. That's an extraction shooter for you, ladies and gentlemen. But it wasn't made to be fun. It was made to sell. And not just sell copies, but to sell microtransactions. You can buy skins for your guns. You know, the guns that you lose if you die. I hear it's a free kit fest anyway. I'll take a sip of water real quick. That's what I've heard. I haven't watched anything on it. I haven't really seen much. I didn't play the demo or whatever the hell it was called, because I have the belief that if you don't like something, don't interact with it. In a world where social media and overstimulation and just people fighting on the internet for fucking clout, money, and attention is so just overstimulating, vapid, whatever big word you want to fucking use, it's just everywhere. Just ignore it. If a streamer or a YouTuber makes a video, or like a content creator, whatever, that I like playing Marathon, I don't watch them that day. I don't. I watch, if I watch a streamer, it's because they're playing a game I like. You know, if I don't like Marathon, I don't like the practices of Bungie. Even watching a Bungie stream could, I don't know if it actually does, but in my opinion, it could show Bungie, hey, there's people watching. I'm not going to bring up Steam charts. I'm not going to bring up viewership. None of that. The player base, what player base? What I do know is the cycle that Marathon went through is exactly how I predicted it. The game is going to come out. Every single Destiny streamer and YouTuber is going to play it. And they did. Played the hell out of it. Defended the hell out of it. They liked the game. Maybe they didn't love it, but they liked it. Enough to stay within the good graces. Because here's the thing. They're access media at this point. That's just blatantly true. They don't want to say anything bad until it's socially acceptable or until, I'm going to be honest, even the rats are jumping out of the ship. That's the only time you're ever going to hear any YouTuber or streamer talk bad about any game because it's socially acceptable to do so. They're not brave. They're not any of that. No, I remember back in the day when the whole point of becoming a YouTuber or a streamer and playing games was because a lot of games were shit and you wanted to make games better. Yeah, there's a lot of people that just want to play games and that's fine, but don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining. And then months down the line, start shitting on these games, marathons in specific, because everyone's doing it and you can see the writing on the wall. The stolen assets weren't enough for you. They did it in Destiny. It was 100% confirmed in fucking Marathon, and you still supported it while sitting there and complaining. You're just as bad as the people that fucking sat around and complained about Destiny, that complained that things were too hard, that complained that weapons shouldn't be exclusive, that complained that they couldn't get the fucking role. You want to know something? Destiny proved to me, we're done with Marathon. Fuck Marathon. That's all I care about. Like talking about Marathon. Destiny and Bungie proved one thing to me. Modern video gamers do not want to play video games. They don't. They want to log in and be rewarded. All they want is a dopamine hit. All they want is to watch movies. But here's the thing. You want to watch a movie? Go watch a fucking movie. You want dopamine? Get your ass back on TikTok. Start scrolling through. Because that's all you want. You don't want to play the game. You don't want to spend money. I understand times are hard. The free-to-play model is so great, right? That's what you want. Free-to-play is what killed Destiny. It is. People think that Marathon will be saved by going free-to-play. No, it won't. Free-to-play kills every single little aspect of a game. And instead, all it brings in are cheaters. You want to know what stops people that complain, people that cheat? A fucking price tag. No one wants to play games anymore. No one wants to put in the effort. No one wants to run a strike. Nobody wants to, chase the carrot on the stick. They just want the carrot immediately. Instead of learning games, instead of getting better at games, they cried. That's why they got rid of random rolls. That's why the strike playlist was abandoned. That's why strike-specific loot was turned into nothing. That's why perk rules for the majority of weapons went to shit. Because there was a set group of people that didn't want to play the game. And you want to know why it was changed for them? Because those people spend money. Or they could spend money. That's how Bungie thinks. It's no longer about putting out a nice game or a good piece of art. No, it's not about that anymore. If you'd go back a couple episodes of this podcast, there's one about modern art. The end of that, I blatantly say that video games aren't art. And they're not. Modern video games aren't, at least. Bungie used to make art. They don't anymore. And that's why Sony bought them. Sony bought them because they wanted someone who could print cash. They wanted that Destiny money. They wanted that live service empire that Bungie built. And I'm going to be honest, Bungie laid the foundation. They were never the most profitable, I'm pretty sure. Maybe they were at some point, but I don't think they were. But Bungie proved that you could underproduce a product and sell the promise of it being repaired or the promise of the content later. And God, people ate it up. People would leave and come back. The game would die and return, die and return, die and return. This time it doesn't seem that way. Why? Oh, because if you look, Bungie in specific lost Sony $765 million. Sorry it's taken over an hour to get to this point, but it's just true. Like, this is where it needed to be said. Money at the end of the day is what killed Destiny. Money at the end of the day is what's going to cause Sony to do something. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm not going to sit here and say there's a solution to all this. I would love to snap my fingers and fix Destiny. I would. I'd love to snap my fingers and live in a world where Destiny and Marathon can coexist and they have their fan bases. We don't live in that world. But I can tell you how you don't get in this situation as Bungie. You don't move all of the majority of your developers from the game that's actually making you money onto this new game. This new game which is failing hard. And you had to have known. Bungie had to have known. I don't know whose ego or whose job was on the line. But maybe if you'd actually made good games and stopped worrying about under-delivering or setting expectations and, I don't know, moved the needle and actually progressed gaming in a positive direction, people wouldn't have gotten fired, Just maybe. People would still have jobs in your fucking company, Bungie. You're not watching this, so who cares, right? And leadership and executives, why should you care? You got your bag. You got the money, right? Doesn't matter. You're screwing over all your other people. Doesn't matter all this crap. You're sliding in all that fucking woke bullshit, the DEI stuff for the maybe less than 1% of players that don't even play your fucking game. People, not players. I'm sorry. They're real big on misgendering. I shouldn't, misgender them there. They're not players. They're just people sometimes. No, maybe, just maybe, if you hadn't changed your fucking motto from we make games that we want to play to we make worlds that bring people together. I'm sorry, but that's so fucking retarded. It is. It's retarded. I'm sorry that your inclusivity is more important than actually making a product that you're proud of. What I do whenever I don't have the will to, or the full mental clarity to make a podcast episode, I don't fucking make one. Maybe you should take a step back, people that work at Bungie, and if you don't want to fucking do this, leave. Get the hell out. Bring in people that want to work on Destiny. I know there's a shit ton of them. Maybe listen to actual people that want to play your game. Maybe go back and look at Destiny 1 and do something with that. I'm not going to sit here and offer solutions because I'm not one of those YouTubers that say, give me Destiny 3, give me Destiny Classic, can Marathon, can Destiny 2. No, I'm not. But what I will say, Bungie, and to anyone that's still listening, the Destiny 2 that we loved is gone. It's not coming back. And to be honest, we shouldn't go back even if you fix it. You're not the same Bungie. I've seen the pictures. I've seen the old development staff versus the new development staff. You're not the same people. And you've killed a universe that had the potential to be one of the biggest sci-fi properties of all time. And you killed it. And for what? A mediocre game that came out 5 years too late. You get what you fucking deserve. What that is, I don't know. Will Sony do something? Maybe. Maybe they won't. Maybe Bungie is biding their time and they're going to reveal some great new expansion that's going to save Destiny. And the same thing with Marathon. I don't know. That's not my place to discuss. It is my place to discuss, but it's not my place to theorize for that. That's for you all, people watching and people that love Destiny. I would love to hear what you all would do. If you were given the keys to the Bungie castle, how would you fix the game? I think I've rambled and taken up enough of your time as it is. Thank you all for listening to my crazy, incoherent ramble. There's social media links in the description. And thank you all for just giving me your time, really. This is my first solo episode. So, yeah, there's some kinks around it and all. Hopefully cool shirt. And we'll be back next week. I did promise a couple streams ago that I will start live streaming. I definitely plan on doing that. I did test it out recently. the main reason I've been playing a lot of Destiny 1 is because I have a capture card now. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart for listening. Take care of yourselves. Have a good one. That's about it.